Donald Trump and Ukraine. It's the big talk of DC and around the country, but will it actually lead to anything? Probably not, because we live in a hell world. And that frustrates a lot of people. One of them is Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who got a lot of pushback actually. She was attacked quite a bit over the weekend for tweeting this. At this point, the bigger national scandal isn't the president's law-breaking behavior, it is the Democratic Party's refusal to impeach him for it. See, I read that, I got a notification because she's one of like 3 people that I get notifications for her tweets for, and I said yes in response. And so it wasn't until a little bit later that I realized that many people thought that this was bad or wrong in some way, like how dare you question the strategy of the leadership of the House? I would say, how dare you not at this point? She explained a little bit saying, it is one thing for a sitting president to break the law, it's another to let him. The integrity of our democracy isn't threatened when a president breaks the law, it's threatened when we do nothing about it. The GOP's silence and refusal to act shouldn't be a surprise. Ours is. What possible argument against that is there at this point? That if you keep saying, how could Trump do this thing that I will totally let him keep doing for another year and change? That's what they're saying. They're saying it's okay. And I even got, in my response to that, I had a couple of people, they're well-meaning people who were like, if you impeach him now, that gives him momentum in the election. Just wait, and like on the off chance that he wins, impeach him after. But also, you think it'll be easier to impeach him after he gets reelected than now? And that's madness.
Something that you pointed out a while ago that I hadn't even thought of. It just hadn't even, like I wasn't thinking of it this way, but you said this months ago. But that is, we can't only use like follow the rules when they benefit us.
Politically.
Exactly, and so that is using politics for your advantage, and that's absolutely against the rules. It should be, is the president breaking the law? Is the president committing impeachable offenses? Then you've got to go for it, even if it could put you in jeopardy down the line. You have to.
Yeah, and so is anything gonna happen? Right. Is it? Well, big news over the weekend. Nancy Pelosi says Congress should pass new laws so sitting presidents can be indicted. New laws, even though she was also quoted this weekend as saying that the Department of Justice legal memo, it's not a law, the legal memo that implies that he can't be indicted by the Department of Justice when he's sitting as president, that is just a memo, it's not a law. She says it doesn't actually stop him from being indicted. So why are we gonna waste months passing laws that you yourself admit are not necessary to do what is required of you, your constitutional responsibility to provide a check on an out of control executive branch? It is just kicking the can down the road. That all it is, it's a time wasting thing. It's to get us a little bit closer to the election, because every month that passes, a few more people will be persuaded that, we're getting really close to the election, we can't actually impeach him now, let's just wait until after. That's the whole point, that is what she's been doing. We are in month 6 of that strategy that Nancy Pelosi is pushing. And when it is clear that what Donald Trump is doing right now, on top of everything else, and there's a lot of stuff, what he's doing now is saying official US foreign aid to countries like Ukraine can be made contingent on you investigating the close family members, the immediate family members of my political opponents in an election. I mean, you either think that the president falls under some sort of legal obligations or you don't. Right. You either think we have a president or you're willing to accept us having a king. And right now, Donald Trump wants us to have a king. We get that. That's what he's wanted his whole life. Nancy Pelosi is willing to accept that. An imperial president unencumbered by any sort of legal consequences, whatever, for whatever he does. That's what she is, she's not saying that, that's what she's doing, which is far more important, of course. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating also to see much of the media immediately start playing the same games that we've played in the past. So Donald Trump says to Ukraine, apparently, we'll give you this aid or whatever if you investigate him. Maybe it's not that explicit. He's saying now that he might actually release the transcript. And Dems are saying, we can't do anything until we see the transcript. I don't care what's on the transcript. It might not even be that explicit on the transcript. My point is, what is happening right now, what he is saying in the last few days is worse than whatever is supposed to be on the transcript, because he is making the case literally every day, up to and including this morning, that it's about corruption. I mean, why are we gonna give money to a country unless they look into corruption, wink, wink. He's doing it in the open. I don't care what he said on the phone 2 months ago, he's doing it right now. And they're again hiding behind a report that might come out someday. And I'm sure that when the report comes out, it'll be taken very seriously by the Republicans. They will find anew their democratic responsibilities, and the media won't both sides it. There won't be any whataboutism if we just wait for the report. That's what's gonna happen. Again, they're just kicking the can down the road more.
Right.
And a lot of the media is like, okay, so I get your concerns. Donald Trump has been a really bad boy, but what if there's something to this Ukraine thing? What if there's something to this Biden thing? There is something to the Biden thing. You know what the Biden thing is? His son got a job because of who his father was. That is a story that we hear with virtually every elite in our system. That's the story. That is all that the story has. I'm gonna jump ahead to just a little bit of an explanation of this from Robert Mackey in The Intercept, who said, as a detailed review of the evidence conducted by The Intercept in May showed, Biden's intervention in Ukrainian affairs that year, when he successfully pressed Ukraine's then president to dismiss a chief prosecutor who had failed to pursue corruption investigations, was no secret and was widely praised by Ukrainian anti-corruption activists and international donors to the country. The reason there's footage of Biden boasting about this intervention on stage at a public event in 2018 is that he knew he had nothing to hide. And that was explicitly not an action that was taken to protect his son, because the son that in this theory has a patron who is a Ukrainian oligarch faced new potential investigations of corruption because the guy who hadn't been investigating it was being pushed out by Joe Biden. So under this theory, Joe Biden pushed out an investigator to protect his son by starting potentially an investigation of the guy who was paying his son. It makes no sense whatsoever, but if you just cloud it and you say a bunch of names that nobody knows and you have it drag out over a few weeks, you make it seem like, hey, maybe Trump has a legitimate beef here. And he's not just manipulating a foreign country to raise the odds that he wins re-election. And everyone who goes along with this, some of them are good people, some of them are worried about corruption by our politicians, and they think, well, what if Biden did do something? That's fine. Look at the facts, understand that it is not what Trump is saying, and then move on to the serious threat to our country. Attempting to both sides this isn't just pursuing some sort of fake version of journalistic neutrality. It is doing the work of Donald Trump. It is being PR for Donald Trump in his attempts to do again in 2020 what he did in 2016. At this point, I hesitated to tweet this because we're a little bit shy about tweets that could potentially get people riled up.
What were you gonna say?
It was just a version of like Donald Trump loved to brag about Fifth Avenue. I wonder at this time. I bet Trump could shoot a Democratic member of Congress on Fifth Avenue and she wouldn't impeach him over it.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't think there's literally anything he could do.
I'm glad you didn't tweet that, but
yes, but is it not true?
Agree.
Is there anything that he could do that she'd be like, oh, we're doing it today?
I think I get your frustration. Your frustration is that there is no line. That at this point, okay, this seems like the worst thing ever. And it's like, no, it's not. We have to wait for this. And then this happens. And then it's like, no, we have to wait for this. And then this happens. And it's like, no, we have to wait to see this. And then he goes and does an interview. Yeah. And just talks about it.
Just admits it.
Right, just admits it. No, I get it. It's like there is
we need a new speaker.
Line.
We need a new speaker. I wish that we could have one right now. That's apparently not something that we could have. And just a little heads up for the way that the rest of this election is going to go. When nothing comes of this, because nothing will, what do you think Donald Trump is going to do when he not only, like a few months ago, warned us, yeah, I would accept information from a foreign country. Here he's pressuring a foreign country to intervene in the election. And the Democratic leadership is going to say, well, what are you gonna do? So what is Donald Trump gonna do after? Something crazier.
Yeah.
Because he's being trained like a dog to do all the wrong things. And the person training him, it's not like it's not Cheney. It's not some Republican.
On his side,
it's Pelosi.
Essentially, is what you're saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Anyway, just incredibly frustrating. We will see what will happen, which will be nothing after this. Thank you for watching this clip from The Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.